The pandemic has taken a toll on the mental and emotional well-being of many students, especially those who are already struggling with learning difficulties or other challenges. Some students have cried in class because of learning-related insecurities or struggles, and how teachers can support them with empathy and encouragement is a crucial question. According to a New York Times article, new research shows that all groups are behind in math and reading after disruptions during the pandemic, but it's the most vulnerable students who experience the steepest setbacks. The students did not just stall early on, the setbacks accumulated over time and continued even after many students had returned to the classroom this spring. The article cites an example of a third grader who attended a low-income school and tested 17 percentile points lower in math this spring compared with similar students in 2019, moving the average performance of low-income third graders from the 39th to the 22nd percentile nationally. This student, like many others, felt frustrated and ashamed of his academic performance and cried in front of his classmates. Another New York Times article reports that national test results released this year showed in stark terms the pandemic's devastating effects on American schoolchildren, with the performance of 9-year-olds in math and reading dropping to the levels from 2 decades ago. The decline spanned almost all races and income levels and were markedly worse for the lowest-performing students. The article quotes a researcher who said that student test scores, even starting in first, second, and third grade, are really quite predictive of their success later in school and their educational trajectories overall. The lower achievement of the lower-achieving kids is a major reason to be concerned. A Washington Post article warns of a steep decline in teen mental health during the pandemic, citing a report from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention that found that emergency room visits for suspected suicide attempts among 12 to 17-year-olds increased by 31% for girls and 4% for boys from February to March 2020 compared with the same period in 2019. The article also mentions that students who said they had encountered racism at school reported higher rates of poor mental health and were more likely to report having a physical, mental, or emotional problem that made it difficult for them to do their schoolwork. These examples show how some students cried in class because of learning-related insecurities or struggles, and how teachers can support them with empathy and encouragement is a vital topic. Teachers can help by creating a safe and supportive learning environment where students feel valued, respected, and cared for. Teachers can also provide individualized feedback, guidance, and assistance to help students overcome their difficulties and build their confidence and skills. Teachers can also foster a positive classroom culture where mistakes are seen as opportunities for learning and growth, not as reasons for shame or ridicule. Teachers can also collaborate with parents, counselors, and other professionals to address the social, emotional, and academic needs of their students and connect them with appropriate resources and services. In this section, we will explore how some schools taught white students that they were born racist and privileged, and how this caused confusion and guilt among them, as well as backlash from parents and critics. One example of such a school is Grace Church School, an elite private school in Manhattan, that embraced an anti-racist mission and sought to have students and teachers wrestle with whiteness, racial privilege, and bias. According to a New York Times article, teachers and students were periodically separated into groups by race, gender, and ethnicity. In one session, a white consultant displayed a slide that named supposed characteristics of white supremacy, such as individualism, worship of the written word, and objectivity. A math teacher, Paul Rossi, questioned this presentation, saying that human attributes were being reduced to racial traits. He also asked what made a feeling white. Some of the high school students echoed his objections, saying that they were exhausted with being reduced to their race and that fighting indoctrination with indoctrination can be dangerous. Rossi was reprimanded by the school officials, who accused him of creating a neurological imbalance in students and warned him that further incidents of unprofessional conduct could result in dismissal.